Welcome to another episode of Otherworldly Encounters with Mike and Brian. What are we talking about this week?
Cultural impact of sci-fi films.
That's a mouthful.
It is.
All right, Brian. What are we drinking today for our episode? Should we go with the beers first or introduce our guest?
Let's go with the beers first.
Yeah, good call.
All right.
I am, unlike you guys, I'm drinking Brewdog Elvis juice this evening.
All right. Well, we're going with the old classic garage beer.
And because Mike is nice enough to share his beer with me, I'm also doing the garage beer in the garage.
Perfect.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers. All right, Brian. Well, I'll let you introduce Jason here.
Yeah, so we've got an esteemed guest with us today. Jason and I had the pleasure of working together for 10 years, played in a band together for...
Technically, we're still in the band.
Yeah, right. Okay. However long, longer than that. Jason, when we talked about this episode, Mike and I were discussing it and like, these are some, like, I know a lot about those movies, but there's one person I know that knows more useless information about music and movies, and that is you.
Yep, very true. I do know useless information, and that's all I know.
But it's in-depth information. That's what makes you so good. So shout out to your podcast, All Things Blues and Southern Rock. Huge fan. Appreciate you coming on and doing this with us.
I appreciate you guys asking me to come on an esteemed paranormal psychology, sci-fi, cultural impact podcast, and I can talk about something other than my music.
Wow. Boom. There it is.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so today we're going to break down some cultural impact movies, really. All right, some of the biggest sci-fi films, The Matrix, Blade Runner, Independence Day, E.T., and Arrival. We're kind of going to hit it from both sides. How we portray E.T. or aliens, in a negative way. Yep. And then also we have the light side of it with like the E.T., like they come in peace type movies.
Yeah. How does the media influence us?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So that's actually a really good question. But I'm actually really excited because we get to talk about The Matrix.
Dude, I remember out of all the movies we're talking about, Matrix is 1999. At this point, I'm 16 years old. And I remember I didn't have a whole lot of deep thoughts back then. And when this movie came out, the concept that we lived in a simulation literally blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, that is just mind-bending.
Yeah. And, it definitely made you question reality, right? Especially, when Neo was dodging all those bullets, right? It's like, but just how also the cool thing about it, and what really stuck out to me when I was watching that is like, you can just plug in, right? And you can just learn a skill.
Yeah. Human augmentation kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I was just like, how badass is that?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I just want to learn Kung Fu today. So just plug me in. And next thing you know, we're out in the UFC.
Here's the first question of the day. If you could download anything instantly, what is the skill set? You're not allowed to say guitar. That's cheating.
If I could download anything, what would be the skill set?
Yeah.
I think something mechanical, like how to fix stuff. I'm not really good at that. Nobody's ever taught me, but like to know how to take apart and put together a car engine.
Wow.
Because it's a useful skill.
I would want to know how to play guitar.
Yeah. Actually, that's exactly how I was thinking. Because I was sitting there, because, I've been watching, we've actually been both.
Can I change my answer?
You're not allowed. You're not allowed.
That's Stephen Wilson Jr.
Is porn okay?
There you go. There you go. But that's Stephen Wilson
That's
Jr.
even more useful than knowing how to take apart an engine and put it back together.
And the way he can play guitar is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, even if I could just plug in to play half as good as he does.
But the other super interesting element of that movie was, like, Mike, we talk on this all the time. If aliens are real, are we a farm, lab, or a zoo? And The Matrix put it in clear context that we are a farm. They're using us as batteries and farming us and putting us in the simulation.
Right. And the whole point of the simulation, though, is almost the zoo point where you're being content and contained and you have this life. So you have no idea what's going on. And the fact that you are being used as a human battery. It's got all the elements, Brian, all three of them.
But the question is, do you take the red pill or the blue pill?
So we may have some people who may not have watched The Matrix. I know that sounds a little odd, but
isn't red pilling like a term now, like a popular term? No?
I've never heard that
All right.
before.
No, I don't know what.
And if, listen,
But maybe I'm just not
I'm not
popular.
sure. I'm not sure what circles you're hanging
Listen,
in, but
I don't know if a 49-year-old dude's going to be the key to like popular,
it almost
terminology
sounds
right now.
It almost sounds like something you'd be like in a back alley. Walk up, to someone like, "Are you red pill?"
right.
Well, if you say blue pill, people think Viagra. So you're going to take the blue. You're going to boner, or do you want to know like about reality?
Right? That's true.
So do you want
Oh shit!
going back
that's
to
really
porn
funny.
again? Maybe this porn thing we gotta play
Never
here.
even occurred to me.
No. All right, so Brian, so explain the red pill, blue pill theory to our.
So in the
those who may not know
movie,
what it is.
so Neo wakes up, everything seems very dreamlike, and then he's faced with this choice. Morpheus, who's enlightened, we'll call it, gives him the choice of a red pill or a blue pill. And I actually don't remember which did.
Red pill awakens you to the reality. Blue pill takes you back to the dream world.
Yeah. So the question is if you have a fantastic life in the simulation, do you stay in the simulation or do you want to experience reality for what it is?
Do you think you said Morpheus, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You think he's a late seed?
Too deep.
You don't know what density level he would be.
No, I don't. I don't.
Dory will be really disappointed in you right now.
No, that is what it is.
But I think you brought up an important point. Is it's going to really mostly depend on the quality of your life you have. If you have a great life in the Matrix, right? Why are you going to leave? What are you going to go back to? Like the shit of that world and drinking protein goo and living in spaceships and doing underground raves and caves. Wait a minute, underground raves and caves. But if you have a great life, why would you leave it?
It's a fair question.
It really is a fair question. But I don't know, like the way the Matrix was portrayed there, to your point, you're living in ships and you're trying to evade these robots or whatever who are trying to eat your ship. Is that, I mean, even though you can have some cool abilities, right? Where you can learn kung fu and in a nanosecond and everything else, but you're still living in that world, and at any point you could die because your ship is being devoured by an external alien life form. So is it really worth it?
Is it worth staying in the simulation or going to reality?
Simulation.
Yeah, I think I would stay in the simulation.
Mike?
Yeah, see, that's a tough one. Because it's just like
Depends on your quality of life, right?
what's alluring to me is
I think so.
is just getting those skills and being able to do all the cool stuff that they did during it, right?
That's true.
But or you can go back to your normal just 9-to-5 job and looking at fucking
Fair
spreadsheets
perspective.
Where the Matrix screwed up with Neo is they threw a lot of challenge at him, right? All of a sudden, he was a hacker. People started following him. They should have immediately changed his programming to have some better life where he's very happy and not prone to want to leave and be chased by Agent Smith and all the men in black or whatever the hell they were.
Weren't they all Agent Smiths?
They were all Agent Smiths, I believe.
Yeah, by the end anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd have to do it.
Yeah?
You want to know reality?
What's that?
You want to know reality, or would you stay?
No, I'd stay in the Matrix.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd stay in the Matrix.
So why did they choose 1999 for the Matrix to be taking place?
Y2K,
in?
man.
Yeah, next year the world was ending.
But it hadn't ended, though. It had moved on. So they chose a point in time of 1999 for the Matrix to take place, and even though it's actually happening way far in the future. So why did they choose that?
I never really thought about it.
I'd never thought about that.
Why did they choose that?
Because that's when they were making the movie, and they were lazy.
I was really expecting something bigger there. Like,
I don't have an answer, but it's an interesting question.
Yeah.
This is taking place hundreds of years in the future. Why are they choosing 1999 like environment to keep people contained?
that is a good question.
That's a good question. Well, maybe they decided 1999 because, again, 2000 was supposed to be the year that the world was supposed to end. So 2000 didn't exist. Like 1999 was it. So maybe that's why they encapsulated everybody in 1999.
Maybe, but then, up to that point, people had grown up. Like, Keanu Reeves was a kid at one point and grown up. People progressed in their lives. So, again, I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Maybe somebody who's watching or listening to the podcast can chime in on your message boards and let you know, or send you an email.
Hey, I'm down with it. But it also introduced us to AI, I think, for like the first time, right? Like we probably heard of AI in 1999 or, you know, whatever, but now it's more prominent. But they had AI, you know, in that movie, right? Like all their spaceships and all the things that they did was helped by AI. So it kind of introduced us to AI before we knew really.
Well, there was one movie that happened in the 80s that really the focal point was AI. Do you guys recall it? I'll tell you what, had Matthew Broderick in it.
No clue.
Terminator?
War Games.
Oh, that was a fantastic
That
movie.
was all about, do you want to play a game? That was artificial intelligence, the defense computers. That's what it was.
Do you know how disheartened I was when I went out to visit one of our old sites in Colorado, right by where the War Games, the mountain, only to find out that it's not really there anymore and that a neighborhood butts right up to it.
Well, we couldn't have had The Matrix and AI without War Games being the original, the OG.
I guess I might have to watch that.
Have you
never
seen
seen it?
I have no idea if I have or not.
Oh my God.
It's the
Because you can't throw actors out to me because I have no fucking idea.
the kids playing on a computer on DOS.
He breaks into DOD.
Global thermal nuclear war. I still remember.
Yeah.
Breaks into DOT and basically simulates Russia shooting nukes at us, and United States is ready to respond, but this kid's playing what he thinks is just a game on a computer, but it's linked to DOD.
Yep.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah.
It's worth checking out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Solid.
I'm gonna have to check that one out.
So what do you guys think, flipping back to the Matrix, what do you think about the thought of social media kind of shaping our digital matrix for us? Like the algorithms put against us by social media is influencing our behavior, similar to if we were living in a simulation, they could simulate a car wreck. Same kind of.
But is it influencing our behavior or just keeping our behavior present? Meaning, like, if you're constantly looking at just music videos, that's all you're going to get is music videos. So it's keeping you in that column, right? Now, every once in a while, we'll break out and we might look at something different. And then they may start taking you down a different path. Hence why you get all those weird ass.
I was just going to say, you find that path often.
That's a little bit why, you know, TikTok's an issue right now because it has been used to influence people or push them to a certain direction of looking at things. And there is a clear algorithm. Again, I've got a podcast with the music industry. The algorithm, everything you go to Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, the algorithm is always working to either take the things that you like or if given the order, pushing you towards things somebody wants you to hear and see. So I think the social media thing is a little bit of construct of our environment. Like it is creating these environments for us. You know, we have a little bit of input into it, but I think mainly it's creating this matrix for us.
We're like a digital caterpillar coming out of, you know, getting ready to sprout our wings.
Sprout our wings where?
It's more like a digital human centipede.
Yeah, that's better.
Everything's asked enough.
So I can keep sending you more midget wrestling and shit, like videos. And
yes.
It's like, is that when I'm busting out my cocoon?
So
usually around 1:30 in the evening.
1:30 in the morning. Yes.
I do want to point out something about Instagram though, and I know you got one for the podcast, Brian. I know you have a personal one. When you look at, like, you hit the search button on Instagram, and it's always like this screen of all these pictures and stuff. And all I do is look at music stuff and follow music stuff. But every time I go to that screen, there's always like young, scantily clad. Yeah. I'm like, I don't look at anything with young. Why is this coming to me?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they definitely can. The AI, the bots, they're definitely pushing out. Like, you know, when you have people who are influencers or considered influencers, right? Like their stuff is getting pushed out to everybody regardless.
I think that's what it is. And I'm like, who are
regardless
these
of their algorithm. Yeah. So hopefully maybe otherworldly encounters start getting pushed out to some people.
Hell yeah.
I think you should have aliens.
We're way better than those young.
You get our algorithm and the blue pill algorithm.
I did like
Next
the point.
to Viagra commercial.
I think we do live in a little bit of a matrix-like environment online, specifically for what you're talking about, the social media, the algorithms kind of creating an artificial world for us.
Oh, for sure. Can you imagine though if the internet like just went away right now?
That'd be chaos.
There would be mass suicides.
I think
I don't think people can handle
so.
it. I think people like
The
younger than
addiction
us
to
could
social
handle it.
media.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
think
can handle it.
I think it would be worse than like for the Y2K, right? When everyone was like, "We're all gonna die, everything's gonna crash," and once the computers hit 000, everything resets. And I remember like New Year's Eve, we were having a party, and my uncle went down and shut the lights off right at like
Just forget.
midnight, and everyone started screaming, thinking they were getting ready to die. I really think this would be like their end of the world.
It would be.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Because kids are addicted to social media.
100%.
Another thing
Yeah.
with TikTok, and like
Yeah.
if this all went away, there would be mass suicides. There's some people who just cannot handle
Do
it.
you know how good I would get at guitar within that week? So good.
I still learn to play guitar by watching like YouTube videos.
Well,
and
that
stuff.
I'm guilty of that. I do go down those
That's
rabbit
a good
holes.
point. I didn't consider that.
It is. It does have benefits. Like I've fixed appliances by looking at stuff on YouTube, but most of the time it's looking at bullshit like we're talking about now.
Well, now the new the Apple Vision Pro or whatever it is,
yeah.
where it's the augmented reality. So it's not like the Quest where it's just VR. Now it's augmented reality. So if you're fixing your car, you can have the YouTube video pulled up while you look at your engine live.
And I don't think we're that far away from it too, because Mike, you were talking a little bit about being plugged in and learning. We're pretty darn close to being able to actually put information directly in our heads.
Well, isn't Elon Musk working on something like that?
Something like that.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you remember the whole plot of Batman Forever with the Riddler is beaming shit directly in people's brains to control their minds. So I think Elon Musk has watched that movie a shit ton, and like he's pulling a Riddler on.
That'd be the ultimate troll move.
It would totally would be.
Seems like something we do.
Everybody has a Tesla. That's all he wants is everybody in the world to have a Tesla.
Drive these white cars.
That's great. So, I mean, so then we can move on. So, what do you think?
Can we move on?
Can we move on?
Can we move on from the internet?
Matrix? From the Matrix?
Blade Runner is on deck.
Runner. That was a good movie.
1982, man. That introduced the whole concept of what does it mean to be human. That was the takeaway.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about like ChatGPT and stuff like that, today, like you can literally have a conversation with somebody on the other side.
We wouldn't have those sex robots if we didn't have that movie.
It's the important thing. Why do you need a sex robot if you don't have a blue pill? So I think
you need
we're
to take the blue pill, sex robot, and download how to do porn directly in your head, and you're set.
Well, you know what? Think about that for a second, right? How many women, like there would be, so I think if
I don't think women buy into the robots. I think
no.
dudes are buying them.
Well, think about that, right? You buy a robot, doesn't bitch at you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pros to it.
Well, it depends how good AI gets.
right.
That is true, yeah. If it's a learning algorithm, it's like we're gonna be
How human do you want AI to actually
This is,
get?
Chris and I just watched the movie Subservient with Megan Fox, where she's a like a
Yes.
robot, and it's like hypersexual in the middle parts, and
She seduced that poor bastard.
right,
Yeah,
yeah, because she started to get feelings.
right. But sorry, see, I told you I was going to derail it.
Yeah.
Talk more about Blade Runner.
Well, this is interesting. I don't know, I think probably 8 when I watched it the first time, and honestly, that might have been too young to watch Blade Runner the first time through. But the piece that's interesting is like back in time, Tyrell Corporation is really synonymous with like mega tech giants now. Like it's odd. It's kind of like when people talk about The Simpsons predicting the future in episodes from like 20 years ago. Let's just write this out and then son of a bitch, it actually comes true. Kind of a similar vibe right now with Blade Runner.
Well, if you look at the Matrix and Blade Runner to that point, it's kind of scary. With how similar they are to things that are occurring in our world today.
But sci-fi's kind of always done that. They've brought ideas of technology,
Right.
and it's become real. Like you look at Star Trek, the tricorder, which is basically your iPhone or your iPad right now that does all these different things. I don't know if we look, or scientists look at that kind of tech one day and try to replicate it, or it's just a natural evolution. Hey, we thought of this idea 50 years later, it comes to fruition.
But what if these movies, the movie industry gets information from the government, and it's the government that's feeding us information to feed us, and they're like, well, we warned you 20 some years ago with the Matrix,
Idiocracy, perfect example.
with Blade Runner, right? Like these were our subtle hints that this stuff was coming.
Do you remember when we covered Diana Pasulka on here? And one of the things she said in the Rogan interview is when she got blindfolded and taken out to a site in the desert to collect these artifacts from a crashed craft. She was like, "Why does this look so familiar?" And the guy's like, I thought you might recognize it. It's the backdrop for one of the episodes of, Mulder. Why am I blanking on the
X-Files?
name? X-Files. Yeah. But to your point, what's the influence there? How in the world would they have picked that location, or were they tipped off of like, hey, throw this in there?
Yeah.
It's an interesting conspiracy thought.
You never know, man. I mean, the government works in mysterious ways, right? Like we don't always feel like we're getting information, but who's to say they're not giving it to us in other means and we're just overlooking it?
So in Blade Runner, why were the skin jobs? Why were the artificial lives created?
Sex robots?
Always the number one reason, but that's not the primary reason they were created.
For slave.
Pretty much. They were sent to off-colony, off-world to do these hazardous jobs in mines and everything else they didn't want to send humans into. I think that's part of the whole reason you have the give jobs that we normally won't want to do, too dangerous, too hard, not smart enough.
Right.
Sex with a robot. For Brian, nobody wants to do that, so that's why you're going to create those robots.
You got to pay for that.
Wouldn't that be some shit? You bought the sex robot and every time you walk up to you have to swipe her credit card.
Turn around. He's got a twink cheek. Actually, it's tap to pay now.
So
Yeah, that's $50.
when you guys go back to put this on YouTube, I think you got to rename this like Sex and Sci-Fi. To really get some people's attention.
That would actually get some people's attention.
Noted.
But when you're looking at AI, you're looking at these artificial, even humanoid creatures. They're always created for a reason, for a job that we're not going to do, we don't want to do.
Right.
And when ultimately there's an uprising or rebellion, they realize that stuff and they come back against us, right? So it's almost flipped in the Matrix. So you go back to it. We are doing the shitty jobs that the robots don't want to do. We come to realization, then we fight back against it. So,
Do you think one of the more interesting concepts that I took away from Blade Runner is if that scenario plays out and we invent this robot, that basically, how do I want to say this? Becomes self-aware, I guess. Does it have human rights? Like, it's an interesting concept.
Yeah, it really is.
If you give consciousness or whatever you want to call that to a mechanical being, does it then have human rights?
Well, if they don't have U.S. citizenship, they're getting deported.
deported where?
Straight into the Gulf of America.
Straight into the Gulf of America. in the U.S. Panama Canal. So that's a really interesting question, by the way. That's a really good one. So let's take a look at popular sci-fi that has robots, androids in it. Star Wars, Star Trek, Buck Rogers, you name it. iRobot. Did anybody at that point actually have the same rights as humans and the same jobs as humans, same respect level as humans? Star Wars, no.
No.
They were all workers. Star Trek.
Data?
He might have been the only exception, but most of the time they fulfilled some kind of role and weren't held to the same level. Buck Rogers, nope, same thing, kind of a lower life form. Our, social or our
Shaping behaviors. Interesting.
I can't tell you a piece of popular pop culture where we've seen robots be held to the same level as a human.
Even Subservient with Megan Fox, I was referencing earlier.
Exactly.
She was a lower class.
Yeah. I mean, Blade Runner, again, they were rebelling because they were being used for shitty stuff and dying off and dying early and realized it. So they started killing the humans.
So are you suggesting that we're being influenced by the government to assume that robots with consciousness are a lower class?
I think you were getting to that point. You're asking that, and I think that's real interesting.
Yeah. I think that they would start out as lower class, but I think with their AI and their learning capabilities, that it would be like the iRobot scenario.
Would you want an AI humanoid to be the president of the United States, or run the Department of Defense, or run the Department of Health?
Who's to say they're not already doing that?
It's lizard people. I listened to your last one.
Reptilians. I don't think so. I think my answer is no, and I don't even have a good reason. It just doesn't feel right. Like,
Well,
you're not. Are you a new? Well, actually taking a step back to that point, are you a United States citizen? If you were manufactured in America.
He's got the Native American tramp stamp.
We're gonna need SCOTUS to redefine birthright citizenships. Does it include being manufactured?
Yeah, I mean, think about that. If we had like bioengineered beings in our society right now, like they're working with us, right? We have them on our podcasts. Like, how does that change society in general? Does it change a hierarchy? Does it, to your point, is it humans here, bioengineered people down here? Are they the ones that are working on all the farms because everyone got deported?
It's a great question. And I can't help but wonder if that's not our future.
Look at the Terminator movies, right? Artificial intelligence, all of a sudden they're like, fuck the humans, we're going to kill everybody.
100%.
They don't even need us for anything, they just kill us.
Yep.
Because they can self-replicate. Same thing, so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put anybody on AI at the same level or position of authority because they're going to realize that they don't need us.
It'll be real life war games.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually scarier than what we talked about last week with, what if aliens were to invade?
Right.
Yeah.
That's actually a scarier
It is.
scenario.
Well, real fast on the Matrix, why were they using us as human batteries?
I never really understood that. Did they ever explain that?
Yes.
Because you were just hooked up and in the ooze.
Well,
like,
when the AI started the uprising, there was a war, and at that time, majority of the machines were using solar power to help them. So we shot shit and blew up, like,
right.
made a dust cover basically to block out the sun, so they wouldn't have a power source. And in turn, they enslaved us and created the Matrix and used us as human batteries because they can no longer use solar power.
I just don't understand how they turned our being into energy.
Well, we generate electricity. I mean, it's a very inefficient way of running something because we don't generate it. But, you have millions of people in colony hives.
Right.
Huh. Sustainability, Brian.
Could we get comfortable living with self-conscious robots? Like, could you get comfortable with that? Say there's no extremism in it and it's just day-to-day existence. Would you be comfortable with that? Like if your Tesla had a thought pattern.
It would be.
You hop in it like, oh, you're going to the bar.
Well,
like, I guess I am.
Kit from Knight Rider. That was essentially like.
Oh, yeah.
No, that is true. Yeah.
That was a being.
Kit was pretty badass.
Kit was pretty badass.
He's legit.
Yeah.
My first car was a Firebird. I felt like Knight Rider.
Now I have that. Now they have the music.
Dun, dun,
Now you see the red light. Yeah.
Just back and forth.
Do you remember what Kit's arch enemy was called?
Oh, no, but I can't wait to find out. This is why you're the best for something like this.
All right. Who's
Carr, Karr.
That's right.
Carr. It was Kit and Carr, and they were brothers. One was good, one was evil.
I would have
Just
never
like the
remembered
evil
that.
version of Michael Knight, the one that had the shitty mustache. Oh God, you guys have to go back and watch Knight Rider.
Actually, I tried to go. I went
good.
back and started at the very beginning, and I made it through. Like,
It's not great.
not anymore. No.
A-Team's just as bad. You
It
can't
really
watch
is.
A-Team. It's
No.
terrible. It's terrible.
Actually, Dukes of
really
Hazzard.
disheartening to
Even
hear.
Dukes of Hazzard, if you go back and watch, you're like,
some of that stuff just doesn't
Hold up.
No, it's just too cheesy and over the top.
yeah. The special effects were just what we thought was just fucking amazing, or just like, dude, I can do that with an M80 out back.
What was the one with Lorenzo Lamas where he rode the motorcycle?
Renegade.
He was the bounty hunter.
Yeah. He was a cop, unfairly charged with crime, I believe. Yeah. Came on after Highlander, the TV show.
Oh, also fantastic.
Yeah,
Great.
I watched the Highlander. It was good.
Better than the
only
movies.
one.
If you could an AI being be a Highlander,
Wow.
We're gonna need more beer.
Listen, an AI being could be a Highlander because they're supposed to live forever. So how are you going to live forever if you're not,
Yeah, I mean, well, that's actually a good question, right? So AI is supposed to live forever, or does live forever, and they basically can probably at some point rewrite their own code, right? To be, if they start to get sluggish or I don't know, virus or whatever, they could rewrite their own code to stay healthy. But humans eventually are just going to kind of.
The new Battlestar Galactica. Well, it was the series that was on Sci-Fi for a lot of years. You guys ever watch that?
Never did see that.
Oh my God! How can we be talking about AI impact on like pop culture if you guys have not seen Battlestar Galactica?
All I can think of when I hear Battlestar Galactica is Dwight. From
Yes.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
Well,
But the best was those when Jim was making fun,
Yes.
like when he was dressed.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, where you're going, Mike, is there was like basically 8 versions of a Cylon, of a human Cylon that kind of like the Terminator, you wouldn't know. But anytime they died, their memory would be sent back to like a satellite and it would be pushed back into another identical body.
Also like reincarnation.
Yeah. Yep. And there's actually a ton of religious allegories, and that whole TV series is a religious allegory.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to your point, that's how you could replicate. Hey, if something happens, your body breaks down, you don't repair it. You just take your consciousness and put it into something else. And honestly, I think, in the next 100, 150 years, humans may be at that point where you're able to take your consciousness, your download the stuff from your brain and put it in another body.
Wasn't there a movie?
There's been a bunch of
Wasn't there a
movies like
TV
that.
series that, like, if you died, you could actually have your memory uploaded, and then it's like your family could come and visit you. Like you're in a different world, like an alternate universe or whatever. But you could actually, your family could actually come visit. You could still interact with them and all that jazz. Which series am I thinking about? It was a TV series.
Max Headroom?
Yeah, I don't know. But that'd be weird as shit.
But the whole concept of like simulation theory as it relates to religious beliefs is fascinating, right? Like if that's actually true, has to shake the foundation. It goes back to like our conversation we had with Judd.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a really good question too. I never even thought about that when it comes to the churches and religion. If you start having these bioengineered beings amongst us, and they, they're like, yeah, I believe in God, and they start going to church, and they're like,
I created you.
right, like I am your God, bitch.
Right.
So it kind of, how is the church going to handle that? Well, that would be a great question for Judd.
It really would.
Well,
Judd, if you're watching this, I want you to
Yeah,
respond.
we'll circle back.
Yeah.
so you guys know all the lore of the alien movies and how kind of the aliens came about and everything. You know what the engineer is?
From The Matrix?
Alien.
Oh, no.
Do you know stuff about the alien? Oh my God.
Educated.
Listen, bring me back next time you guys have fucking studied anything, would you? Holy shit.
That's not our MO.
No. On our podcast with our guests, we actually don't do a lot of research because we want to be learning about this artist at the same time the listener is. So I get it.
Right.
So really, I'm not
That's
just
totally where we were going.
Right.
You're doing a great job.
You're the artist.
You're doing a great job. So Alien, basically what happens is the alien creature is something that's been bioengineered as the perfect being to be able to live at any kind of climate and survive, okay? There's these higher beings, almost like the gods, called engineers, and they basically take DNA to worlds and they drop it in, shake it up, and all of a sudden you're growing human beings or humanoids. And that's one of the things that they believe that happened to Earth is we were created, the humans, also from these engineers who also created the aliens. And the aliens were the first batch that were kind of fucked up.
So I just had this really weird fucking thought come in my mind. So you have 2 humanoids, right? They hook up and they're like, hey.
Like going to a bar? Is this a bar
They're
joke?
like, hey, let's have kids. Next thing you know, they walk over to their fucking 3D printer. It just popped into my head, dude. I don't know why. So it was like, is that how they have kids? They just 3D print them?
So
You know what? We're probably going to be able to 3D print kids with actual tissue one day, too.
well, they can already 3D print limbs with skin cells, I think, right? Or not skin cells.
I
stem
think they're
cells or
regrowing
something.
organs, like can grow organs like livers and shit now.
That's good. I'll need one of those.
Maybe after the show at the rate you're drinking, Ryan.
Keep them in stock.
So just go to that fridge and pop them out.
So going back to your theory though, or what you're explaining with the alien, with the engineers. So the theory is that aliens were the older but much more deformed race, and we're
Right.
the newer version, the newer improved but younger version.
Yep, pretty much.
It's interesting.
Yep. So really, a lot of these movies is they're trying to get back to the home world of the engineers and see kind of what happened there. There's an evil corporation. Imagine that. That's kind of behind everything that knows the existence of the aliens and wants that information to be able to, do their evil corporation type of stuff too. There's an overarching theme with evil corporations. Terminator, Blade Runner.
I'm telling you, got to go back and just start thinking about this shit. They're all hints being dropped.
I think we got to...
I'm starting that conspiracy
I think we
theory.
got to keep our eye on Elon Musk, to be honest with you. He's behind a lot of the shit. Space travel, artificial intelligence, vehicles, probably sex robots coming.
I don't know. I love that guy.
Do you remember when Tesla came out and then he did Starlink and people were like, oh, fuck, here comes Skynet. And he like jokingly posted something on Twitter like, yep, that's it. And it was like, you had to pause for a minute like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Yep, I'm saying.
So last week, when we were talking about the alien invasion, how the government would fuck that up. Mm-hmm. Let's go to ET. Right.
The government did fuck up ET.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Like that right there is a perfect example of what would happen. We come in peace, but you know what? We're gonna strap you down. We're gonna test you. And all the dude want to do is make a fucking phone call.
This is probably the reality of what's going on.
Dude was just looking for his Uber, right? They fucking our government.
Did you see the Super Bowl commercial with was it Dorito? What was it? A snack chip. And they're all saying bye to the alien, and he's standing in the...
Yeah.
And then the door closes on him. It was pizza rolls, Totino pizza rolls.
Yes. It was the guys from Detroiters. I can't think of the guy's name right now.
Mike? I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
I think you should leave Detroiters. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that was entertaining.
I must have been in the restroom during that one.
There weren't a lot of good commercials in general.
There were not a lot of good commercials.
I did appreciate the David Beckham and Matt Damon one for Stella Artois. That was pretty entertaining.
David Beckham all of a sudden has a shit ton of tattoos. Like his neck and his hands were all tatted up.
Yeah, I noticed
It's like,
that.
what the fuck? He was like a posh dude, right? And all of a sudden he looks like a friggin' biker.
Yeah, that was weird.
The seal was screwed up, though. I'm sorry. That's wrong. Not only did he look very phallic, but it was creepy as fuck.
Fair.
Mike's like, what are you even talking about?
Mike's like, I didn't watch the commercials.
I was probably taking a shit.
He's on YouTube right now, typing that stuff in. I'm looking at it right now.
Very
Seal has a seal. Seal has a seal.
about.
Looks like a dick. I saw you type that in there.
Yeah. But then you got ET, right? So ET comes, right?
Yeah, it's all about friendship.
Yeah,
right?
it's about coming in peace, like friendship and all that jazz, right? And then, of course, we talked about last week, government would fuck all that shit up, which we all agree here that they probably would.
What were the ETs doing at the beginning, though, when they were racing to get back and left him behind? I know they were being chased by the government. Why were they here?
Great question.
Do you know they came? Could you verify
Zoo.
they came in peace? Because we didn't see the prequel to that part.
Well, and I think that's the question at play is if you see a UFO, should you just go ahead and assume the threat until proven otherwise?
But is that just how we're hardwired?
Yeah. If you don't understand something,
Fight or
shoot
flight.
at it. But you guys had a great conversation in your last episode about the alien invasion stuff. It was really fascinating. I think the problem, if any alien shows up here, they are light years ahead of us in technology, right? They're going to be able to dominate us if they want to, right? They're here.
Right.
We can't keep up with them in technology. So if they show up and they're not blowing up people, they're not here to harm us.
Yeah, I really think if they were here to harm us, other than, Travis Walton getting abducted, which may not have been a bad thing.
Bullshit. He owed money.
Hey, it's a cheap
I think they would have already, to your point,
Yeah.
started just guns a-blazing.
Jason, what's your theory? Farm, lab, or zoo?
We're a zoo. We're basically the Jersey Shore for any alien creatures out there to watch us. Because what value do we provide to anybody right now other than being entertainment in a reality TV fashion?
I was just going to ask you that. You think like this is what they tune in weekly?
Oh shit, yeah. I mean,
Let's watch these humans to this week.
And God help us in the infinite expanses of the universe, if we are the most advanced creature out there. I do not want to believe that because that would be pretty sad.
Yeah.
But we would have to be entertainment because you're not going to learn technology because they already have technology for interdimensional or interstellar travel. What are they going to get? What are they going to get from us other than entertainment?
What's the movie, you'll know, and I forget the name, Bring a Towel,
Bring a towel.
where the guy gets abducted into space.
That's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were the center of entertainment
Yep.
until a highway needed.
And the most intelligent creatures on Earth were what?
Dolphins.
Dolphins. Yep.
Fuck, here we're going back to the dolphins.
Yeah.
Or Peter.
Yep. Sorry, Bench.
Poor Peter.
But
Right.
good conversation last week. I would 100% believe we're a zoo because what are we going to add to a race that can travel like that?
I don't know. Unless we're an experiment.
Well, back to the engineer question on aliens. Maybe we were intentionally put here to grow and be a farm, be a zoo.
Be a technological,
We're an experiment.
whatever, cocoon.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because I see your point and I kind of lean towards that, you know, because I can actually picture them sitting on their couch or whatever and grabbing their garage beer and just be like, let's tune in to Earth today, right? And see what kind of shit's fucked up down there.
Right.
But then I do look at it as the zoo part, but I picture us kind of like as an ant farm, right? And they placed us here, to your point. Let's just see how advanced they can get on their own, or maybe we'll drop some nuggets of information to them to kind of help
Push them along.
Yeah, push them along, and then once they get to a certain point, we'll just destroy them and start over.
Like the monolith in 2001, right? This black obsolesque monolith shows up, and then the apes touch it, and they gain intelligence, start using tools. Maybe that's something. Maybe they're just dropping little
pyramids.
things in. The pyramids.
Maybe that's it.
Supposedly under one of the Sphinx front right paws or something, and eventually someone's going to find something down there, and it's going to unlock a whole bunch of different historical mysteries.
What's your information source on this?
Rabbit hole.
YouTube.com.
Got it. So on the other spectrum from ET are things like Independence Day.
So so I think that would be what would happen because of ET, right? We're just trying to help him home. Government fucks up. Then Independence Day comes because now they're pissed.
I don't know. It seems wildly unrealistic to me only because if they've had the opportunity over however many thousands of years, why would you wait so long?
Yeah. And you know, Jason brought up that point, like, why wait?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree with him, like, why wait? There's got to be a reason. Either the aliens that are in our galaxy with us or wherever are friendly, and we're just waiting for that one foe to come into our galaxy or whatnot and be like, that looks like a nice planet to take over.
If aliens invade and want to take over, it's because there's a resource or resources they're going to need that they don't have themselves, right? That's all we have to offer anybody who has, again, the technology intelligence to travel interstellarly or extra-dimensionally, whatever.
But maybe there is a galactic council out there.
They're just waiting for us to do that first flight so they can show up and invite us.
Maybe that galactic council, as long as it stays intact, is the reason we have not been invaded.
It's called the Galactic Senate.
Yeah.
Could be. What would our resource be? Water?
It depends. Minerals, we could be a food source, habitable environment from somebody else who has a very similar atmosphere, but ruin theirs due to war, pollution. I do have a beef with alien invasion movies.
And then we can 3D print kids, so we're good. So they'll have a continuous food source.
Right.
And boner pills.
Right. Can't forget boner pills. Sex robots.
That's why they would take boner pills.
Yes. All right. Where were you going with this? Sorry.
I said, I have a real problem with alien invasion movies.
Yeah.
They're stupid as fuck.
Every time.
Every time.
Action packed.
They are action.
So they are action packed, but the plot, there's a major plot hole or major intelligence hole in those. Every alien invasion from all the popular stuff, War of the Worlds, Signs, Independence Day, is felled by something stupid. Are you telling me in War of the Worlds, they don't know that our environment and the common germs are going to kill them? In Signs, do they not know their water's going to kill them when most of the Earth's surface is water?
But maybe in the areas that they've ventured, they never had water.
Do you remember?
So they didn't know that was something that would kill them.
Yeah, but the water molecules are part of, they fall into water pretty much anywhere that's going to house life, even if it's frozen.
Do you remember the movie
gases.
Office Space?
Yes.
And the scheme to steal money? And it was the transaction code, and they were going to steal like 1/1,000,000th of a penny or something. And he screwed up the decimal point, and he's like, whoops, it was a Monday error, but it was cataclysmic. That's probably the situation with the aliens. Did you check to make sure there's water there? Yeah, we're good.
But even Independence Day,
They haven't updated their Google Earth.
Independence Day is beaten by a virus. You're telling me they don't have better antivirus?
Common cold.
Common cold, water, and a computer virus.
And crop dusters.
Well, that was just up the gut of the one.
How were the
Still
aliens?
effective.
How were the aliens in V beat? You guys remember the TV series V?
No. The only thing I can think of with V is V for Vendetta.
Oh my, well, you're probably how old are you?
What year is it?
Oh God.
44.
So V was started as a TV miniseries about alien invaders who came down and they looked at us.
Okay.
But actually they were lizard people beneath it. They could peel off their face and they're lizard
Reptilians.
people. They would eat mammals and they were taking over the earth because essentially they were going to eat all of us. One of the first roles for Robert Englund was in that. He played one of the, Freddy
No
Krueger.
way.
He played a vegetarian alien that actually jumped over to the rebel side, the human side, to help us out.
Wow.
Vegetarian. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Rebel aliens.
What's the time frame of this?
It's probably 82 to 85.
Okay.
And then after the TV miniseries, there was a series that was on in just a couple years. There's only so much you could do.
Freddy Krueger, though. That's interesting.
Yeah, bro. Robert Englund was a trained dancer.
Is he still alive?
Yep.
I know he was at the Columbus Comic Con not that long ago.
Do you know he's British?
I think I did know that.
You know how much foil I would have had to put on the rabbit ears to get that show to come in?
It was on
Back in 84.
It was on one of it was on one of the main stations. But again, it was another alien movie that they weren't felled by a common thing. They were actually the humans, rebels finally overtook the spaceship and killed the leader and all that. But that was one of the few examples I can think of an alien invasion film where not something stupid actually felled the alien overlords.
Would you agree that movies portray aliens more badly than in a good way?
100%.
Yeah. I wonder why, though. Is it just because it's for that sci-fi, that scare factor, that...
No, it's the government softening us up for reality.
See, now you're on my conspiracy train.
Just because it's fun.
It's the government wanting us to attack stuff we don't know and don't understand, so they can't come down and help us out or defeat us or whatever.
We will be the world.
We're prepping.
Can you imagine the militia? Like, everyone has guns.
But again, what are our guns going to do against ships that can travel?
They're idiots. They're going to make the Monday error. Hey, Bob, did you make sure you brought the vests that were physically resistant? Oh, yeah. 100%. I covered it on Friday before we left early for beers.
And then you can actually go to Black Hawk Down, right? Where he was like, oh, I don't need my side plate in the back because I'm not going to be running away, right? And he ends up getting shot.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like that. We don't need our plasma shields. We don't need that stuff because they're primitive. We don't need any of that shit.
We're going to end up defeating the alien invasion with like black powder rifles and like fucking ball.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be laser
Like
pointers.
shit, yeah.
Yeah, because their
like the lowest
technology is so
technology.
far advanced to stop other advanced technologies
Right.
that are primitive, like bows and arrows. Is just going to go right through
We're
it.
going to get them. Yeah.
Dog barks.
Dog whistles.
Dog whistle.
I am so safe.
Oh, it's like Mars Attacks when they play the song from I'm blanking on his name.
Meatloaf.
The yodeling, not Meatloaf.
I love Meatloaf though. There's a
The
lot of
food
people
or
that-
the
there's a lot
singer?
of people that do not like Meatloaf. I don't know why.
The singer?
Yeah.
They're not American.
I know, right?
They're not
Very
patriots.
un-American.
If you don't like Meatloaf, you're not
There's
patriots.
a lady that I knew. Whenever I'd go up north and go to this one specific bar, and she was bartending, I'd put Meatloaf on repeat because she absolutely could not fucking stand him. So I'd play the entire CD.
One of my friends cleared out a bar putting Yanni on the music thing, like $20 worth of Yanni.
That's fair.
People got up and left.
People get really upset about the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald situation now recently. I cued Mike in onto that game, and it got a lot less fun.
What is the worst song you could
Because now you play it for me.
So funny thing. So Brian and one of your buddies was at this bar.
Yeah.
And we walk in, Brian doesn't see me, so I sit with my back turned, and I see that they have the iTunes or the touch tunes or whatever it is. So I'm like looking at Jen, I'm like, So I typed it in and it started playing. So I get this text from Brian immediately. Where are you?
Yeah. Yeah. So we play this game where if you find out someone you know is at a bar, you log into the touch tunes of that bar and you play Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald on repeat.
Yeah.
It's like a, I don't know,
It's a
9-minute song.
7-minute song at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could pick a song that could defeat the aliens, though, what's a good song that would beat Beat the
Oh
aliens.
shit!
Because
That
we
is
know
a
how the hippies
great
got beat
question.
in South Park, right? What beat the hippies in South Park?
Oh God, what was that? Was it Raining Blood?
Yeah, it was Slayer.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
Slayer.
Slayer.
Made all the hippies go away.
Man.
What makes aliens go away?
Miley Cyrus.
I mean, I think they'd be into her naked riding that wrecking ball and all that stuff.
I'm gonna say Run for the Hills, Iron Maiden.
That'd be a good one.
Really?
Yeah.
What about Hell's Bells?
Yeah.
It means that we're coming.
I think Escape the Pina Colada song would do it. That's a fucking worst song.
Wow, that is a doozy.
What was it? The Chumbawamba?
That was Tub Thumping.
Tub thumping.
Oh, okay.
Pretty bad too.
Yeah, that would make.
The Pina Colada
You're
song's
really
worse.
reaching deep in the
Listen,
vault there.
you bring out the A-team guest, you're going to get A-team questions, Brian.
Touche, sir. Touche.
You're going to bring a guy who talks about blues and southern rock music into you're going to get the good questions.
So, focusing on language and communication, since we're talking about that, how about the movie Arrival? Because that was kind of a different
Great one.
take.
Yeah.
Like, we've talked about friendship, we've talked about war, and that didn't really have anything to do with either so much.
Well, he's hitting on a good point. What happened when the aliens originally showed up? What did we do?
Freak the fuck
We
out.
killed one of them,
Yeah.
and they still took mercy upon us. We immediately attacked them.
Was that Jenna Fisher? Am I right in that?
No, that was Amy. She has the red hair.
Yeah.
Amy.
I thought her name was Jenna Fisher.
No, that's from The Office.
Oh, that's right. That's what I'm thinking.
Amy Adams. Amy Adams.
Okay.
Amy
I wouldn't
Adams.
have guessed.
It's a really good movie. It's
I'm
a
trying to
good
think of
movie.
where I would do in that scenario. Now, when you're talking when they killed one of them, did they look human? Were they?
No, they're
I don't
like
know if I've ever seen that
like
Yeah, like
movie.
squid,
like?
misty squid things. Yeah.
I mean, I can see why.
And how do they communicate, Brian?
I don't really remember.
Emotion.
Honestly.
Clicks and clucks.
Emotion. That's why we would all die here.
We're men. We do not have
We're
emotion.
emotionless.
Unless we got a boner pill.
So I'm going to go through and answer all the questions that we've created during this episode. Which pill would you take, red or blue? Well, obviously now we know blue. Check one.
Would you have sex with a robot after you've had the blue pill?
Check two.
Oh, I've besmirched your beautiful, nice quality podcast. My terrible humor.
Not at all.
So good.
Listen, I don't have psychic abilities or hunt Sasquatch or have alien encounters, so I have to use my humor as my, talent. Call it that.
Do you think
Talent
when we
lacking.
talk about like UFOs and aliens, do you think that's the right terminology, or do you think conceptually we're not even looking at it right? Like when we talk about Arrival, part of the big concept in the movie was the concept around time, and their perception of time wasn't anything like what we did. So even though they had a physical presence, they weren't necessarily a physical being, which is kind of what the mist and like tentacles represented. Like, do you think conceptually, if whatever may be out there is actually out there, that we're theorizing it in the right way?
I don't think so because I think that we're directed and we're steered by outside influences, right? If you think about the movies that we were discussed, it steers us down a path whether we know it or not. Then you've got the government side of it steering us down a path whether we know it or not. So no, I don't think we do.
What's interesting about that question, Brian, is a good question, is if there is a live physical being that can withstand interstellar, interdimensional travel, it's probably not going to look like what we look like, to be able to stand up to the rigors of time, pressure, whatever the hell does to your body in those situations. Too. So it's going to have to be, maybe something you're talking about. It's like a different body type, a different makeup to be able to do
Well,
that.
but didn't they say that there are aliens that look human?
Well,
Dory
yes.
even mentioned that.
Yeah. But I think the question comes into play of like, we talk about the human soul and we talk about consciousness, and what is that? Is it a series of molecules, or is it something entirely beyond the science as we understand it? And I think that's where it comes into play when we're talking about aliens and physical beings versus just consciousness. And do those things intertwine is the question.
It's a fascinating question.
Maybe that's what Aiden should study in his neuroscience PhD
I don't
program.
know. He can't do that. He's supposed to be a super evil villain.
But if-
His destiny has already been set in stone.
he's at New York City at Cornell this week for an interview. Yeah, as a matter of fact.
I don't know. I just think that some of the movies that have been played in the past kind of predict the future.
It does with technology, is what I pointed out at the beginning,
Right.
for
And that's,
sure.
that's where I was like conspiracy theorist. Yeah. I mean, if you sit back and I would have never thought about that had we not been talking about tonight or this podcast in general. If you look at back about from all the, famous alien invasion movies or any type of movies that involve aliens, and then to where we're at now, to your point, it all makes sense. They had the information, but that was the government or whoever's way of just gradually pushing us into what you said, our near future, like how to handle it. So when it does happen, we're just kind of
you're prepped.
we're prepped, and we have really no emotion to it. It's just like it's about time you showed up.
So great point from you, because a couple of years ago, those UFO files came out from like the government. And they're starting talking about, hey, here's video, and people are like, of course.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm desensitized. I'm good.
Right. That's just it.
Now, my question for you guys though is, sci-fi has really predicted some of the technologies that come to life later on. iPods, this artificial intelligence. What do you think is the next piece of technology or thing that sci-fi has predicted that we're actually going to see?
Well, I mean, they had to shut down that quantum computer, right?
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, they shut it down for some odd reason. So that makes you wonder, did it get so far advanced that it was starting to it was getting to the point where they couldn't control it, right? And that's why they shut it down. Who knows?
I think, and it's a scary thought, but going back to our conversation earlier around Blade Runner, if we introduce AI, if you make a super chat GPT and you put it in a robot that's going to be a coal miner, super dangerous job, nobody wants to do it, it's very low paying. You give it to a robot, but you give it consciousness because you can't program it to go in and out and do all the things. Like probably a Blade Runner type scenario.
At some point, you're going to rebel.
Like it's going to happen. Robotic assistants are so prevalent now. It's really shocking. Like the last, I forget what it is. Is CNET the big tech review every year? Is that right?
Yeah, the Vegas thing. Is that Vegas or
I
somewhere
think it's
else?
Vegas, and Elon introduced robots, and they were like making drinks and pouring cocktails and dancing and doing all these things. If you add an element of AI into that where it can think and communicate more freely, oh man.
Because, I mean, to your point, even if you put a robust, safeguards in place, right?
Tap to pay.
Yeah, tap to pay. America. You would think that eventually they would be able to get themselves past that, right? So they're advancing.
Find a way around that.
But we may not necessarily know how advanced they're becoming because they're so good at hiding it, or they can maybe hide their code or whatever because they've surpassed our knowledge and technology.
Have you guys seen the movie Upgrade?
Why does that sound so? Tell me give me some.
The general premise is it's a little bit in the future, but a guy basically gets paralyzed in a crime, and they insert a artificial intelligence chip, and like it can take over his body for him when he wants it to, and do all sorts of stuff.
It's kind of like Matrixy because he learns to fight like instantly.
He lets the chip take over, and it fights for him. He just is there.
But the twist is that the chip wasn't there to help him; it needed him.
Yes.
Until it could break him.
Break him how?
Like break him mentally, where it just
It used him to help kill another creator, or something. Like it basically
the one person that could eliminate him.
Yes, the twist was this chip was actually using him to do the things that it needed it to do to advance itself.
And see, that breaks out another
Spoiler alert, guys.
possibility, right? So now you have a chip that was created by a human that had no intentions for it to be a bad chip, but it was able to transform itself into where it had conscious thoughts, and it had, nefarious things, right? Like, and it's like, this is the direction I'm going. Like we talked with Lori, like the white path or the dark path, right? And it's like, I'm going dark. And all of a sudden it just fucking starts killing people.
It kind of feeds into, and we didn't talk about it, but the movie Cyberpunk too, right? Same thing with human augmentation. You insert the chip, you get some kind of features, but it burns a portion of your body out or makes you act irrationally.
I think we're going to see that pretty close in medical, like bionic, like not, I won't call it bionic, but like you'll actually see mechanical parts to help replace, or lab grown livers for you, or other things that are going to happen. And I think that's possible.
Right.
Limbs. More likely to happen a fully aware AI humanoid robot or flying vehicle, like a hover vehicle.
So, I mean, I lost my soul 20 years ago, but do you think like if you had like that implant, like your soul's just like, because remember we asked, you asked, like, are we just a vessel for a soul or whatever? You think it's just, you think it changes?
Who do you know that has a soul?
All good questions. Circling back to the first one, I think the fully AI robot will come before flying cars.
Okay.
Even though it disappoints me to hell because I would love a flying car. I would use it and it would be bad, and I'm sure mortality rates would go through the roof, but it would be pretty sweet for a while.
Brian ran into the skyscraper the other day,
Right.
driving home from the bar.
Come on,
Right.
there would be collision detection, even the Teslas and other cars.
You
have
probably wouldn't even fly it yourself, honestly.
Probably
It would
not,
just be
no.
AI, whatever, routing.
But what if the AI turned bad?
that. You're fucked.
Well, it always turns bad.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert.
So do you trust it?
No. That's why I don't have a Tesla.
I think Teslas are turning bad and killing people sometimes.
Like the movie Car.
I think it's, you know, if you want to tie that into government conspiracy,
So why could
government can hack into your
Population.
Tesla.
if you wanted to
Population
assassinate
control.
somebody and they had a car like that, and let's face it, pretty much every car now is but those are self-driving. Why couldn't you hack it and drive, like have it drive into a pond, keep you locked inside of it, and drown like McConnell's sister-in-law?
That's not creative enough. I mean, you got to get that car at least 120 and just straight into a tree.
But right, you could do that, or the artificial intelligence decides it's had enough backseat driving.
What's better population control? Artificial
Sex robots.
intelligence driving you into lakes and rivers, or putting something in the water supply to limit your ability to give birth?
That was one of my
remember.
platforms. Yeah, Brian remembers that.
You have to apply.
You had to
for
apply.
children.
Yep, and then you get
you get the
stuff.
antidote.
Yep, correct.
Apply for what?
Having a child.
Oh, yeah. Well, weren't they? Well, China kind of had that, right? Like you can only have either a male
remember what it
or
is.
you couldn't have a female child. You could only have male, and if you had I think if you were going to have a female child, they would actually just do an abortion right away.
So I got that idea through a movie called Gattaca. Have you seen that?
Never
Jesus
even
Christ.
heard of it.
How can you do this podcast? You haven't seen some of these great movies. So Gattaca has Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. That's actually how they met.
Wow,
And they were
this
later
is-
married after that. It's an early 2000 sci-fi movie. Basically, in the future, rich people bioengineer their offspring and stuff to be perfect and stuff. And the poor people who don't do that get the shitty, trashy, crappy jobs. So Ethan Hawke's character is one of those poor people, but he is able to slide in as one of the, he wants to be a astronaut that flies to another planet, and you can only have it if you've been bioengineered. So it's that whole kind of ethics discussion, bioengineering, two classes of people.
Right.
It is a really, really good movie. It's called Gattaca, Gattaca being the DNA codes.
Oh, okay. I'm not smart enough to realize that, but that makes sense. It's kind
You're smart enough to realize that. You've just studied rocks too much of your life.
I mean, we've really covered a lot of different things tonight. And it's
really
gonna be,
have.
It's going to be a lot.
I'm going to have to give you guys homework on movies and TV shows to
unpack.
watch. to be honest
Simulated
with you.
reality,
You can
AI
send it, but
ethics,
I'm
cyberpunk,
going to give you the
alien
same
encounters.
I'm going to give you the same rules that I give like Paul when Paul's on here. If you send me a video that's over 15 minutes, it's not getting fucking watched. All right. I do not have the attention span
ADD.
to sit there and watch
TikTok Nation right here.
a
social media.
4 hour
Sign him up.
fucking documentary, right? Something that's high level, 10 minutes max, right? Give it just
10 minutes.
hit me with information.
All right.
That's my max.
Pretend to play along with me here. But if there's one movie I will tell you guys to watch out of everything that you haven't watched, it'd either be War Games or Gattaca.
Wow. Not The Room?
It's a whole different podcast. I think Gattaca. I think you guys should watch Gattaca. I think it's
Wow.
still on Netflix. and
I've seen
Amazon.
War Games, and I really liked War Games.
Yeah.
Do you think Gattaca's better?
Well, I think it would be telling to where we're going. I think War Games is where we're at a little bit with artificial intelligence.
Okay.
It resonates very well still, but Gattaca. And last question for you, because you've seen War Games. What was the name of the computer?
Oh, shit. It was named after his kid that
Yep.
died. God, I don't remember. This is why you're so good at these things.
Joshua.
That's right. Would you like to play a game, Joshua?
Yep.
Well, I'm still going to sit on my conspiracy theory that sci-fi movies have shaped our future, or at least steered us down past to your point. Basically, desensitize us to the thought of aliens invading, and I'm gonna die on that mountain.
Certainly plausible. I can't deny that.
It's the best conspiracy theory out there right now. I just read it on YouTube. Someone already reported it.
It's on the internet. It's true.
Like fucking otherworldly
It's on the
encounters
internet.
just
It's
started
gotta be
this.
true.
Otherworldly encounters just started this conspiracy theory, and we totally dig it.
If you guys
Just went viral.
if you guys were evil villains and you wanted to create mass unrest, what is the one thing you would do? We've already talked about it.
Take away porno.
Beer, take away beer. Beer, porn, shit.
The blue pill, the sex robot.
So
Take all that.
All we've talked about.
So where do you find your blue pill, your sex robot, and your beer? Where do you find all that information about that?
Mike's house.
I was gonna say some dude in his back alley, I know, but keep going.
The internet. You really came to participate with the wrong crowd today, James.
I think it's the right one, honestly, because I'm the one who took us down all the sex robot stuff and the blue boner pills and the Matrix.
Well, all right. To your point, because I know where you're going with you, like kill the internet, right?
Yeah.
But just think about when they banned TikTok.
Oh, yeah. There
Holy
was
shit.
Yeah.
Jackson Mahomes was out of business, man.
Fuck, these people were losing their ever living mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know.
Over a fucking app.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm old enough to be able to get by without that stuff. My kids, 21 and 19, they're nope.
Yeah, think about that. So yeah, if I was an invading alien species, I would just kill all internet, all apps or whatever, and just watch everybody just fucking.
Just to be clear, when we say kill all internet, because we're advancing to where internet is TV, would we still have like radio and cable TV, or is that not a thing?
Yeah, but that wasn't internet though.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's
But a lot of
FM.
people don't even realize that TV isn't internet, because Hulu, YouTube TV, whatever. Like,
that's true. I forgot
what
about
about like plug-in cable?
I don't think my kids could use cable TV.
There's a couple videos I've seen of kids trying to use old rotary dial phones.
Oh, God,
And they're just
yeah.
sitting there staring
Like,
at it.
they just have no idea.
How disappointing was that when you like get to it and just do that really
just
yeah,
miss it.
you're like, fuck, I got to go through this whole thing again. Oh,
Or when you had a
God.
cassette tape, right? And it, like whatever, and you just hand like a kid now like a cassette tape and a pencil and be like, hey, fix this. They're like, just staring at it, not knowing how to wind the tape back in.
There was I was at my family farm, and we have an old dump truck that's a manual transmission, roll-up windows, and my cousin's kid was in there, and he's like, Uncle Beef, what is this thing? Pointing to the window crank, because he had never actually seen
yeah,
one.
right? Yeah. You know what? You want to kill this generation, put them in a car with manual crank windows and roll them down
Manual
to the bottom
transmission.
of water. Oh, yeah, another thing we'll never.
All right, so I'm going to share this. This is when I knew that our future was doomed. I went down this rabbit hole one night,
Oh boy.
and there was a bunch of these college kids in a circle, and there was a can and a can opener. And none of these motherfuckers knew how to open this can.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And they were just like, it was like a monkey with a
And a football.
with a ball. Yeah, they're fucking it. But no, they're trying to stick it in a round peg. They're just like, I don't know what to do. Right. And then there's this one fucking dude walked in. He was like, and they're like, they all started screaming like they were having a fucking rave party because, oh my God, this one person knew how to open a can.
That's the
with a
leader
can
of the
opener.
tribe.
That's when I knew we were going to die.
And now we roll into idiocracy.
Yeah, that's
We really have
all
rolled
gonna
into idiocracy. It's happened. We're there.
Yeah. We just need to water the fields with Gatorade.
We're there.
Yeah.
well to all our viewers and listeners out there. Actually, you know what?
Good luck to all of you.
I want to give a shout
We're
out,
all screwed.
Brian. I want to give a shout out.
All right.
We talked about this the other day.
Okay.
So, like on the podcast side of it, we're actually all over around the world, which is just fascinating to think about, right? That there are people who are listening to us, but we got people listening to us in Ukraine, and with the shit that's going on in Ukraine right now, like my thought, like what I really hope, it's just some Ukrainian soldiers that just need a break,
Yeah.
and they're tuning into us because they want to laugh or listen to our
Take a
bullshit.
minute and center yourself.
Like that makes me feel really good.
Pretty cool.
It just
Slava,
makes me feel really
Ukraine.
good. Yeah.
Can I ask you guys one last question before you guys
Yeah.
stop this? What do you think is the most likely, what's the word I'm thinking of, unexplained creature to be actually real, like a figment of the imagination or
Like a cryptid.
yeah, like, or,
Like Loch Ness,
Chupacabra, Loch Ness
Bigfoot.
Monster, Bigfoot. Would you, like, if you had to pick one of those things that actually really exist, all these mystery creatures, what would be the most likely thing to actually be real?
I would have to say something in the ocean because it's still so.
But would
It's
that
so
be like giant squid, megalodon? Like,
Well,
what are
we
you
know
talking
giant
about?
squid are real already. Like megalodons, I just don't think
food
because they
source.
couldn't. Yeah, no food stores. They couldn't handle the pressures. It would probably be some kind of weird like. What's the huge squid-like creature that would pull down ships?
Like a kraken?
Kraken.
Yeah, kraken.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Which
say
actually
kraken.
which is a really good rum, by the way.
It is, yeah.
That's what I thought about. So you said Kraken.
Kraken.
Rum.
Yep.
There goes my liver.
Isn't that Seattle's new hockey team?
Yes.
NHL
Yeah, the
Kraken?
Seattle Krakens. Yeah.
What's an underrated mascot?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's
mascot.
pretty
Yeah,
badass.
it's pretty,
Yeah, but then again, that you could fall that can throw that into the some of the sci-fi movies too. I mean, you got the oceanic crazy animals like the Kraken pulling down big ass vessels and stuff like that. So maybe it's actually real.
What
And
do
the
you
government is trying to desensitize us to that as well.
What do you think, Mike? I mean, we've had cryptid episodes with Adam, and we had Mitchapalooza where we went through cryptids.
Yeah,
What do you think is the most likely?
dolphin sex is definitely the most.
Well, that's not even a cryptid.
They're the
That's
smartest
just-
creature on the planet, too.
That's just weird people doing weird things with government funding.
Don't dolphins like sexually assault humans?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went into
It was the other
More
way around.
detailed
It was
than
the other way
anyone
around
needed.
on that episode.
That's how you
It
know they're
was
smart.
mutual.
That's how you know they're smart because dolphins aren't held to human law. So you can't like
Yeah, but the
charge them with a
the
crime.
dolphin
and that would
killed
be
himself.
the question. It's just like the consciousness. If the dolphin was in love with that person, do they have human dolphin rights?
So are we saying
if they were born in
so
America,
we're saying like
Gulf
as
of
in a
America.
cryptid, like which one I would want to be real?
Which one do you think would be most likely?
likely.
Oh,
Not
it's
they
it's
want.
definitely Bigfoot.
Really?
Yeah, I think Bigfoot's out there. He's probably watching us through the window right now.
I hope so.
He's right behind you. He's got a fucking six pack
The
right
famous-
there. Behind.
Yeah, that's true. Hanging on the leg lamp.
He's right there behind you.
Yeah.
The swamp ape, the Bigfoot. The,
Right.
I mean, he's already in
Don-
commercials, bro.
Snowman.
He definitely exists.
He likes beef jerkies, from what I understand.
Right, and saxophone.
And Sasquatch.
Yeah.
That's a real Sasquatch.
Sasquatch is real. So I think your answer is correct because there really is a Sasquatch. And he goes on tour.
What about you?
I think it would have to be, the water stuff makes a lot of sense, but I think really it would have to be like some kind of mammal creature. So whether it's a Bigfoot or Chupacabra or something, like some weird mutant version
Like a
of
hybrid?
yeah. I think Chupacabra maybe.
That's a great question for our viewers and listeners.
Yeah, I think they should chime in, send you guys emails and comment.
Yeah. Yeah, if you would like to send us an email, give us your thoughts. It's otherworldlyencounters2024@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram at Otherworldly Encounter Podcast. No S on that since our director of
Yeah, she's still on a pip.
definitely on Pip.
Social media director,
Yeah.
intern.
Yeah.
No. She's no intern. She's supposed to be the real deal.
Did she get paid?
Eventually.
Well, she gets like what?
I mean, I'm paying for her college.
okay, yeah.
Does that count?
That's more than most jobs pay.
Yeah. But she's going to school for this type stuff. So Brian and I are
So you're helping her.
absolutely.
You're helping her with her skills and her career.
We're helping her help us.
That's weird. So she's an intern, but not an intern. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's an unpaid person on a Pip.
Do interns deserve to have the same status as regular people with regular jobs? Are you more likely to treat an AI human being as an equal or an intern?
Oh. And they're not robots, just people.
Correct.
Yeah, less.
Definitely less.
Good way to end the show.
Jason, thanks for being on.
Thanks for having
Again, appreciate your time. You've always got a good intellect for music and movies, so always appreciate it. Shout out to your podcast too, All Things Blues and Southern Rock. Give it a listen. You guys have on all sorts of cool guests. Who you have keyed up right now?
This week coming up, we've actually have a conversation about this Steelwoods tribute with the executive director of the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame. Steelwoods were a pretty solid Southern rock band for a lot of years. They disbanded. We talked about that. We talked about the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame, all the good music's coming out of it. Later on next week, we're going to have a great Canadian blues rock band called Bywater Call.
Yeah,
if you're into the
you've been
Tedeschi
telling
Trucks
me
band,
some
they're
of
very
that.
similar. So we're doing that interview tomorrow. that up, so it'll be out next week.
That's awesome. And Jack's Hollow put on a great performance here locally in Columbus. That was cool to go check
one of our
out.
friends, Jack's Hollow. So if you guys want to know about good new rock music, southern rock, blues music, we do it all. But we're focused on a lot of exposing new or lesser known bands to the audience. So
I love it. There's so many talented artists out there. That's a great platform to get them out.
Goodbye June. We love those guys.
Seen them a couple different times. And actually, you've been turned on to Goodbye June now too.
Yeah, Deer Tick.
Oh yeah,
Deer
that
Tick.
was one that threw up there. That's not really an blues and southern rock band.
But that one was a weird. That was a band that you threw out for us to listen to.
No, that was my
wasn't-
other friend Nathan.
Oh, okay. I thought that was Jason. I'm like, boy.
Not me.
All right.
That's like a little more college.
He's
alt
like
rock.
the Avett Brothers kind of crowd, whatever you call that genre.
But that one
Folk, I
song, it
guess.
was kind of weird, but I mean, I can get down with it.
Yeah.
Anyhow. But yeah, so how would they reach out to you if they want to send you email? You got Instagram? Do you got Facebook?
Yep. Thank you. All Things Blues and Southern Rock on Facebook. All Things Blues and Southern Rock on Instagram. On Twitter X, whatever the hell you call it, it's Jason ATBSR. And then we're also on what's the Instagram social media scroll that's automatically tied to that? It's if you follow us on Instagram,
Facebook,
Threads.
Oh yeah, that's
Threads.
right.
Oh, yeah,
Threads.
we'll do
But
that.
just look All Things
That's too
Blues.
advanced for us.
Look up All Things Blues and Southern Rock. You'll find us.
Excellent.
Love it, Jason. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, to all of our fans out there in Ukraine, stay safe.
Until the next time, keep your mind open, your eyes on the sky. You never know what's going to fly by.
And with that, we'll catch you on the next one.